Recently on a television channel you had a police officer who came out and said in detail how he had tortured Afzal in an SDF camp. He has gone on record saying, I poured petrol in his ass and I used electrodes and all that. You know, on that particular program, there were senior lawyers, there were senior policemen, there were senior journalists. No one had anything to say about a man coming out and saying that I torture people because it's my national duty. He more or less said that. No human rights organization has taken suo moto notice of it. It's just become a part of the texture of our life. So in today's paper you read that Pinochet died. Pinochet, one of the most reviled military dictators of Chile. 3,000 people were killed in his regime in 17 years. You know, we can do much better than that in India, right? We have, even the official statistics in Kashmir is 45,000. We're not talking about the Northeast. We have the Armed Forces Special Powers Act, where, forget capital punishment, summary execution is allowed by non-commissioned officers. Huge populations of this country are hostage to this. The whole trial of Afzal, for example, apart from what is going on in court, you have a whole family being held hostage to what the STF can do. So, people keep asking me, today a journalist asked me, Arundhati, are you saying the Parliament attack was an inside job? And I said, look, I don't think we can think in these binaries anymore. I don't think we know what's the difference between the inside and the outside. Because we have a system of layers now, the bottom of which is organizations like the Special Task Force and the SOG in Kashmir, shading into the Ikhwanis, which are the renegades, shading into, surrendered militants, and there's an exchange of bodily fluid that goes on. And we don't know what's inside and what's outside anymore. And I don't think we're going to come out with, even if there were a parliamentary inquiry, I don't think you're going to come out with, blueprints and plans and a bomb hidden in someone's, under someone's bed. I think the only thing we can hope for is a responsible media, not a media as an institution, but some journalists anyway, who begin to pull the threads, and the knitting is beginning to unravel at a very high speed. Because you see, the point is that if you're in a relationship, like we are in a relationship with our police, with our judiciary, and with our parliament, and so on, if you're in a relationship with someone, and that someone begins to tell lies, then you want to know why they're lying. Clearly they're lying to hide something. And there have been plenty of lies that have been told on this case from beginning to end. And I have to say that some of them are pretty terrifying. Pretty terrifying. Because this is not just about Mohammed Afzal and whether he hangs or doesn't hang. This is about the kind of society we want to be. And also this is about some far bigger things. Today, India is trying to negotiate this nuclear deal, posturing as a responsible nuclear power. But in 2001, when this attack took place, without any evidence whatsoever, 500,000 soldiers almost were mobilized to go to the border. The whole subcontinent was pushed to the brink of nuclear war. Almost 800 soldiers died in the mobilization effort. 10,000 crores were spent. Villagers lost their fields and lost their lives because of exploding landmines. Who is going to be accountable for this? And we can't look to these formal institutions. It is really up to us to keep on asking these questions. If we have one duty, it is to ask questions. If we have one duty as citizens, it is to ask the hard questions. So I'm not going to read them out now because they are in the mainstream press, published in Outlook. But there are these 13 questions now that are being asked about the attack on Parliament. They do not relate only to the very microscopic scope of the Supreme Court and Afzal. They relate to a lot of things around it and about it. And I think each of these is a thread that can be pulled and can unravel the story. And there is so much there for a responsible media, for investigative journalists. It's a gold mine, and I really request you to go after it. I'm going to just read a tiny little story by one of the writers I admire greatly in this world, called Eduardo Galeano. It's actually on the epigraph of the book, and the only problem is that in the hurry, the last 4 sentences, which are the most crucial, got left out. So I'm going to just read it to you. It's called The Culture of Terror. Pedro Algorta, a lawyer, showed me the fact dossier about the murder of 2 women. The double crime had been committed with a knife at the end of 1982 in a Montevideo suburb. The accused, Alma de Agosto, had confessed. She had been in jail more than a year, and she was apparently condemned to rot there for the rest of her life. As is the custom, the police had raped and tortured her, and after a month of continuous beatings, they had extracted several confessions. Alma de Agosto's confessions didn't much resemble each other, as if she had committed the same murder in many different ways. Different people appeared in each confession, picturesque phantoms without names or addresses, because the electric cattle prod turns anyone into a prolific storyteller. Furthermore, the author demonstrated the agility of an Olympic athlete, the strength of a fairground Amazon, and the dexterity of a professional matador. But most surprising was the wealth of detail. In each confession, the accused described with millimetric precision clothing, gestures, surroundings, positions, and objects. But Alma de Agosto was blind. Her neighbors who knew and loved her were convinced that she was guilty. But why ask the lawyer? Because the papers say so, they said. But the papers lie, said the lawyer. But the radio says so too, explained the neighbors, and the TV. So I think this is the situation that we are in, where there's a sort of parallel and virtual reality going on in the media, particularly with regard to this case. But I think we are poised at a very dangerous crossroads now as a society and as a country. And as we become a society where the police have increasing power, even now in Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, all these places, the people are just picked up, illegally detained, tortured. All this is going on. So it is up to us to decide what kind of morality we would like to live with and what kind of society we'd like to be, and to bring some, what should I call, restraint, some integrity, and some intellectual rigor to our lives. Thank you.